All right, peace and chaos, family. We're back with another interview special. Here we have one of the legendary master teachers, going back to the era of when we received our Afrocentric era in the melanated community. One of my favorites, speaking to the community as well as covering metaphysics and occultism. I can remember your first video I saw. Well, it was two videos because one video made me look at another video when you debated Sarah Sutton-Seti. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. 2009. My birthday, actually, on April 19th, 2009.
It was your birthday?
Yeah, it was on my birthday, 2009.
Wow. Then it was spiritual because let me tell you something, Dr. Alim Bey. When I saw that interview, I was real into the melanated Black power half. But after watching you put that work on them, that changed my whole entire outlook on everything. And it made me a completely different person. And I had to know, who is this? You know, who is this person here? And I remember the first other video I looked up of you, you had a wave cap on doing a lecture. You were young though. It was a wave cap lecture. I don't know you remember that.
Right.
You remember?
Yeah. That was around 2004, 2005.
You was cooking in that video, man. You was cooking in that video. And then that's when you used to get on that board. When you used to do the work on the board with the chakras. That's when I went to.
All right, that's what Shaman Healers.
Yeah. That whole era, I watched you all those videos from that time up because I had to catch up. I felt like I had to catch up. So I became a student of yours in its own right. I started to learn more about the Moors, Lemuria. The information you unveil about Lemuria is priceless. And I want to appreciate you and give you your flowers now that you're alive, because we wait too long for these things. You know, we wait till people way gone. But people know on this platform who you are. But I want to formally introduce you to people that probably don't know a lot about you. Can you say a little bit about what you do and what you've done so people can get an idea of who you are?
I've written 3 books and have actually 13 books, but 3 are published. The published books is First World Order, which correlates to the First World Order radio, in which that me and Brother Panic used to do, as well as also the Divine Hymns of Akhenaten that my wife and I wrote, as well as this last book in which that is called Planetary Genesis, Stargate DNA, and Human Extraterrestrial Origin.
That book's fire. The last one, definitely, I was blown away by that book. And it also plays into the information that I've been getting into with people about that whole thing. But we'll talk about that, as we go. So I was watching your lecture or your interview you were doing with our brother Magic Lakra, that's my brother too. That brother is very special, getting the right people on. And he was just talking about the era of the master teachers,
Right.
Do you know you're one of the last master teachers speaking right now?
Yeah. Me and Baba Phil Valentine. Yeah.
Phil Valentine still speaks?
Yeah, he still speaks. He still do interviews. He be on Brother Rich platform. Brother Rich now lives or resides in Atlanta, Georgia. So,
okay, that's good. So, in that era, how was it compared to this era? Because people have to get a gist of how it was. Because I explain all the time how it is, how we had our master teachers, different communities. They had certain people, but our community was just special and flowing with these master teachers compared to now. Because can you speak on that?
Yeah. During that time period, which was the 90s, the golden era, as it is called within hip hop, it was also the golden era of consciousness. Within that era, you had Brother Daoud, who would be the godfather of metaphysics. You will have Baba Phil Valentine. You will have Brother Bobby Hemmett. You will have Baba Azariah, or what is known as Azazil Ben Bey. You will have C. Freeman L. You will have Kalindi Ehi. You will have myself. You will have Dr. Ivan von Sertima. You will have Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark. You will have all of the great masters lived during the 90s.
Right.
So we will all go to each other's lectures. You will see 5%ers, Nation of Islam members, Ansar to Allah, Nubian Islamic Hebrews, who was under Dr. Malachi York at that time, who was known as Imam Misa. You would see Hebrew Israelites from Ben Amin and Yahweh Ben Yahweh group. We will all come together and hash out the information. There was no separation. There was none of this nonsense that we see nowadays. Oh, I got more knowledge than you. Oh, you were down. I didn't want to hear nothing they got to say. We didn't even have that idea. During that time period in the 90s, we wanted the information. We wanted the knowledge. And so that's what we went after. All of us came together in order to get the best knowledge, the best information. Oh, let's read the Torah. Let's read the Tanakh. Let's read, all the books. Let's read the Apocrypha. Let's read the lost books of the Bible, forgotten books of Eden. Let's read the Gnostic texts. Let's read, in other words, we wanted to read and study everything. We wanted to study all of the scriptures, all of the information, so that we would know, what was going on. As compared to now, Negro barely read one book, but think he knows a whole lot of nothingness, as I would say. So number one, we don't read as much as we used to. In the 90s, we had no choice but to read. Everybody want to Google some shit. To Google something is like the topping on the cake. If you need some verification, okay, Google said this. But you got primary sources from your books, from the people who existed at that time period, who lived during that time. So all of the great masters, what they call the Afrocentric movement, existed during that time period. Now we got, a lot of people who want to go into the Indian thing when they know the term Indian is a federalized word. But we already knew that we already knew that we was the most indigenous people around the world. We already knew that we was in the Americas. There was a book in which that I got when I was 14 years old. That was in 1983. It was called What They Never Told You in History class by Indus Kemet Kush. And in that book, he shows that the first people in the Americas were Black people. All right. So we already knew we was the first people in the Americas. This is some shit now that got to be debated. There's nothing to debate. We're the first people in Europe. We're the first people in Asia. We're the first people in Africa. We're the first people in Australia. We're the first people in the Americas. There's nothing to debate. So, these are things.
What's the stigma?
The stigma is Negroes believing that they know something which they really haven't put together the information properly. The stigma is that, I don't want to be called an African, even though we might have some African DNA. Okay, well, that's fine. You can say that you are simply American. Okay, well, you won't have to prove that you're simply American, by way of your genetics, Well, according to Dr. Clyde Winters wrote the book that we're not just African in his book. And he's right. In the book, he says that we're not just African. He said that we've been lied to. He said we are Black Europeans, Black Africans, and Black Native Americans. We are a mixture of all three. And this makes sense when you look at it over and over again. You had many impacts from Africa into the Americas. You had Abu Bakr II, who came nearly 200 years before Christopher Columbus. All right, he 1311 through 1313, in which he had 2,000 ships, in which that came.
Wasn't that Mansa Musa's uncle?
Yes, exactly. And he came here to the Americas with thousands and thousands, a whole goddamn city. If you take 10 people on each ship, which I know there was more than 10 people on each ship, but on 2,000 ships times 10 is how much?
2,000 ships. That's what, 20,000 or 200,000?
That's 20,000, right? That's 20,000 people.
20,000 per. Oh yeah, 20,000. Yeah.
20,000 people. Now, if he had 100 people on each ship, that's 200,000 people. So we're talking about anywhere between 20,000 to 200,000 people in which that he brought here to the Americas, who came from out of the interior of Africa, who came from out of Mali, who was related to the Dogon people, and brought them here to the Americas, and they mixed in with the Olmecs, who was their brothers and sisters, who already was here over 5,000 years ago. And then you had other people who looked just like the Olmecs, who was already here over 50,000 years ago. The Washington states that they was here over 100,000 years ago. So we're looking at these major impacts on our culture and civilization that has occurred many times. So you saying that you just one thing, you're lying to yourself.
Right.
You know, so
I say that all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So we are, could you say that it was a ethnic genesis that happened and occurred through our amalgamation?
Right.
That's what's happening.
Right. It's a true melting pot. A melting pot between Black Europeans, Black Africans, and Black Native Americans. It was a melting pot between us three. And the European tried to weave his way in there in the genetic bloodline, you know, as he do, through rape, maim, murder, and everything else.
Right. So a lot of people have this to say when it comes to the Moorish nationality, because I saw a case recently with a woman who was accused of killing her son.
Right.
And putting her son, I don't know, like in a bag or something like that. She went to court. She tried to lie about her age. And you hear about people trying to use Moorish,
real Moors,
the Moorish.
Real Moors don't do stupid shit like that.
Right. Right. I want you to give the
dichotomy
of those.
We're the most brilliant people on the planet. Real Moors, that is. Not Moors who got psychological problems, who are narcissists, who are sociopathic in their tendencies. We're talking about real Moors. We understand that we don't have to go out in order to harm anyone. That's what we do know. You don't have to go out and harm anyone. You know, we simply allow nature to function as it does. And nature is supposed to handle all problems because it's something in which that we have dealt with now for 6,000 years. It's a natural problem. You're not going to solve a natural problem with artificial means. And that's the problem which that we're seeing. Like this brother who just recently shot up some police officers in Dallas. Every election year, it seems that there's a Moorish shootout. When Barack Obama came in, it was a brother by the name of Cosmos. And he shot up brother once again in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Shot up some cops there. These are not real Moors. These are renegades.
would you say that these renegades are infiltrations to try to bring the name down, or is
Of
this their
course.
problem?
No, that's exactly what it is. Try to bring the name down. Of course, they love to identify all the Moors as just one faction, but we're many factions. There's just not now one Moorish. So they always end up got to go to we go interview the Temple Moor, or we go and interview an Indigenous Moor, or we go and interview. It's not going to work because everybody have their own different ideology and the interpretation of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Just as bad as Christians have with their interpretation of the Bible, and you got the differences between Pentecostal holiness and the Baptists and the Methodists and the Jehovah's Witness and Seventh-day Adventists. You got all these differences, but yet they reading from the same damn book.
Right.
It's the same thing with Prophet Noble Drew Ali's interpretation of the information.
Well, I know that you're having a Afro Indigenous Wellness and Culture Fest coming up in about a week or two. Can you give the people a little bit of knowledge of what will be taking place there? I know I will be speaking there. Looking forward to speaking there. But can you give people a little bit of information about what's going to occur on September 20th through the 22nd?
Yes. We're going to have, for those who have RVs, come on down. Tickets are nothing but $10. You got tents, come on down. You can put your tent out right there on the land, all right, for all 3 days. So anyone who's interested, you can go to AIWCF.com. That's AWICF.com. Let me make sure that's the right joint. Yes, that's it. AIWCF.com. All right. AIWCF.com. So you can go right there.
Posted it in the chat, guys.
Yeah, you can go right there and get your tickets. The tickets are nothing but $10. $10. All right. Be talking about 3 days. $10. All right. You're not going to beat it. We're going to have vendors there. We're going to have lecturers there. We're going to be doing sweat lodges. We're going to be doing Indigenous Tantra Kriya Yoga sciences. Everything in which that you can think of is going to happen that weekend. Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, pranic healing. So it's going to be a full pack event. All 3 days. All right. So come on out. Check us out.
Can you give this is just the address for people that just looking,
yes, address is 808 Cross Creek Road. 808 Cross Creek Road. All right.
And that's
Henderson, North Carolina. That's in Henderson, North Carolina, 27536. 808 Cross Creek Road, Henderson, North Carolina, 27537. That's it, 27537.
All right, just put that in the chat for you guys. So, Dr. Alim, when did it occur to you that you were going to be in this tier of information? Were you raised up in this information from birth, or did something click along the way, or did the spirit reveal something?
I essentially was raised up in this information, guy. At 5 years old, I began to pierce the veil of this illusion and seen into other dimensions. So I seen what was called ghosts at the age of 5. At 9, I started seeing UFOs. One hovered over top of my head, 100 to 150 yards right over top of my head. During that time period, at 12, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And my aunt kept telling me, you need to go to the library. You need to read and study about Malcolm X. And I was like, who is Malcolm X, and why you got me reading? Who is this dude? You know, he got the last name X. I ain't never heard that shit before. You know what I'm saying? But not realizing here I am in Harlem, and everybody know about Malcolm X, and here my dumb ass is talking about, you know, because I came from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hear nobody really talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So here she is trying to tell me, look, he used to lecture right up the street, or he used to do this, that, you know. And so I went to go get the autobiography of Malcolm X from the Schomburg Library on 135th Street. So I got it, had it for 2 weeks. I reread it about 3 or 4 times. All right. So now that was my Afrocentric religious vibe coming from, you know, Malcolm X, you know, Elijah Muhammad, you know. So then the following year, well, actually the following years, at 14, it was a girl who I knew, her name was Lisa, and she said that she had a boyfriend and she called him God. And so she said, yeah, I'm gonna have to let you meet my God. And I was like, yo, huh? Oh shit, your God. I was like, whoa. I said, yeah, introduce me to that nigga. Let me find out what's going on. You know, not realizing, you know what I'm saying, that even though I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, I still didn't put 2 to 2 together. Once again, I'm only 4 blocks away from Mecca. I'm only four blocks away from the 5%ers. You know what I'm saying? From the nation of God on earth. Not even realizing that. Walked by it, been by it, didn't even realize it. A law school. All right. So the following year, 15, my cousin, all right, he got into the Nation of Gods on Earth, or the 5%ers at that time. All right. He used to rock the kufi with the tassel. And so I was hungry, and so his mom was cooking some greens with some pork in it. And so he was like, nah, we ain't gonna eat that shit. Yo, come on with me. Yo, let's go get the turkey sub. I said, all right. So we went to the corner deli and got a turkey sub, and he started telling me about some information. Now, the year before that, this nigga had Playboy, Penthouse, Hustler, all that shit underneath his bed. All right. I'm telling you straight up, he had that shit right there underneath his bed. I like, yo, nigga, let me check some of that shit out. All right. The following year, this nigga got into the 5%ers. All that shit was gone. All that shit was gone. That's how I knew this nigga was serious. That's how I knew that nigga was serious. Underneath his bed now was Malcolm X tapes, Minister Farrakhan tapes, Khalid Muhammad tapes, Elijah Muhammad tapes. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, nigga, this is better than your Hustler shit, you know, and your Playboy Penthouse magazine shit, nigga. This is better than that shit. Yeah, now this is the shit I want to take home. And so he gave me a few tapes. And so from there, he started me, you know what I'm saying, rehashing the information that I read at 12. Here I am at 15, and I'm starting to put more and more of the pieces of the puzzle together. All right. At 18, 19, I kept running into these dudes in the subway station on 42nd Street and different parts of Manhattan. They was followers of Dr. York. Now, between 15, well, actually from 14 to 19, I was following Minister Farrakhan. All right. I wasn't joining, I didn't join the nation, but I was following Minister Farrakhan. But when I started reading Dr. York's books at 19, I knew that his information was much deeper than that superficial stuff that I was hearing from everybody else. He was putting the keys.
He was serious back then.
Yeah. He was putting the keys together, and nobody else was doing that at that time period. That's why overwhelmingly he controlled the rap industry. All the rappers went, even brand Nubians, even though they 5%ers, they called themselves brand Nubians, which was after the Nubian or the Nuwapians, who was, as they became called, the Nubians, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, as they was called during that time. And sort of a lot of Nubian Islamic Hebrews community.
Right.
at that time period. So we're looking at a transformation in hip hop. Bambaataa started following Dr. York. A lot of the cats in the Zulu Nation started following Dr. York. Queen Latifah, you find her when she first came out, she was wearing the pin of Dr. York, the Mati flag. Yeah. Jay-Z, Jazzo in particular, he was in garb with his kufi on, with his Mati flag on. So all of these, so hip hop was changed in the 90s because of Dr. York. Paul Rice's teachings. You know what I'm saying? Even though they was 5%ers, they didn't use they didn't use the 5 pointed star. They used the 6 pointed star, like Dr. York. He just changed hip hop. He changed everything during the late 80s and early 90s, God. You know what I'm saying? He was such a force at that time period. Nobody could deny this shit because he had the information in his books, and you can go and verify the information, all of that. And remember, there was no such thing as Google or the internet at that time period. Internet didn't come into play until 1998. All right. And most people still didn't have the internet in their home until after 2000.
America Online.
Right, exactly. You know, right? You had to do that dial-up shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Nobody I don't know if people remember that shit or not, but that's what happened. That was the dial-up. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what took place. So, my first year in college, I started reading his books and information. His information made more sense than everybody else's information at that time. But even though innately I still knew that there was more. Right. So I joined his group, even though we had a group in Fayetteville, North Carolina called UFP, Unity for Prosperity, and we taught the information from Dr. York. All right. We would combat the Lutheran Latter Day of Saints, who was known as the Mormons. We would debate the Jehovah Witnesses, and we would destroy all of them with their own Bible. And so we knew we was on the right track because nobody could defeat us when it came to the Bible, you know.
Right.
And then we started throwing in the Quran, you know, the lost books of the Bible, forgotten books of Eden, and the Apocrypha, and different other books. You know, we went all out. Then the Sumerian texts, and then nobody could keep up with us. You know, so we was in a whole different classification, you know, with his studies and with the research. Now, even though I was still a student of Dr. Ben, you know, I was still a student of Dr. Ben. I was still a student of many of the other elders who was
Henry
on
Clark.
the scene. John Henry Clark, yes. But I always seen Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben was who I was drawn to. I always was with Dr. Ben at his lectures. Okay, I was always with Dr. Ben. Matter of fact, that's probably how Dr. Ben ended up at my lecture during the Sarah Suit and Seti debate in 2009 before he passed.
Oh, he was there? I didn't know that.
He was sitting right in the front row.
Oh, wow.
And he told me afterwards, he said, I don't even know what y'all was fussing about.
Yeah, Yosef Ben Yakini.
Yeah. So also Ashwa Kwesi.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's where I got my name from. That's where I got Ani from.
Okay. So Ashwa Kwesi, one of the elders still on the scene. You know,
yeah, he's still doing it.
Yes, he's still doing it. From Dr. Ben, his student, Ashwa Kwesi. When he came up to me, it was election 2005, and he shook my hand and told me that I was doing a fantastic job. I knew I was on the right track. When Dr. Layla Africa came up to me in 2000, I believe it's 2012, told me I was doing a fantastic job. Same thing. So when the elders come up to you and start telling you, yo, you're doing a fantastic job, you're doing a good job, yo, I really appreciate what you're doing. You know that you're on the right track. Keep going. You know, don't let nobody deter you.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what happened. And then in 1994, I moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. A few months later, I ended up meeting Bobby Hemmett. And we became good friends and started rolling around the city to the libraries and to all the metaphysical bookstores, getting books. You know? So even though I never was with, per se, any particular group, I respected the teachings from each group. And that's why we was always in cahoots with each other. Like I said, when we had meetings, we had 5%ers. We had Hebrew Israelites. We had, all these different groups that would come together. You know, we even had Sunnis and Shiites to come to groups. We always come together. We never had the dissension like we just knew everything. No, let's find out what we do know, and then let's see how far we can go with it. This is how we were. This was the theology of that day, because we wanted to know more information. We knew there was more, and we wanted to know more. This is how Bobby came out. Bobby wasn't part of any particular school. Bobby was actually was under Yusuf Ben Yakinen. He was under Dr. Ben.
Dr. Ben, and he went to the Moore. What's our brother?
C. Freemanel.
C. Freemanel.
Yeah. He was one of my teachers as well. So this is how we end up, me knowing all of these brothers is because I was in the right place at the right time. I met Dr. Ivan von Sertima in 1989, 1990 at Fairfield State University. He came there and lectured. He lectured there several times, and I would go up and ask him questions and, get more information from him and so forth and so on. So this was a fantastic time of when the elders would give us information and have us researching and studying. And there was no qualms about it. There was no ego about it. It was just, I want the information. You got some information I might need. Please give it to me. That's how it was.
Well, when was the first time that you came in contact with our brother Panic? And how did that relationship start?
2004, 20 years ago. 2004 was when I first came in contact with Brother Panic. I did my first lecture in New York. It says Brother's Gonna Work It Out. That was the name of the videotape. And the other one was called The Shaman Healers. So I did two videotapes in Brooklyn at LIU, and also at Brooklyn at one of the brother homes. All right. So that was January 10th and January the 11th. Of 2004.
Okay.
When we did those two videotapes. And then the next day, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I wanted to hear that part.
Yeah, so that's when I met Brother Panic. He came to one of my lectures. That was the lecture that we did, Brother's Gonna Work It Out. He came there and we met each other there. And that was 2004.
Okay, because I remember it was I can't remember, it was Miss Blue. You guys had a run on there. How did that happen? And the progression of your relationship, because you guys had one dynamic video that I was there when you guys did it live, because I do have some questions I'm gonna ask about that video, because we just had Beetlejuice 2 come out.
Right.
And I want to ask if y'all going or if you're going to do something with that. But before you get to that, how did that progress to Miss Blue, to you guys doing that video, and how was y'all relationship?
Yeah, me and Brother Panic was close. I would go to his home. He would cook, grill out, make sure he fed me 2-3 times a day.
Wow. Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Panic will make sure you eat now, no doubt.
Mm.
You know, Alim, you hungry? Yeah, man, I'm getting ready to go out here and grill some, man. You want some of this? You know, so he be out there grilling and shit. Make sure you get some of that now. Get some good shit.
Some good shit.
Yeah. You know, so like I said, from 2002, and then Panic actually told me to do the lecture with Sarah Seti in 2009. At first, he wasn't feeling it. He said that he channeled the ancestors. The ancestors said, do that shit. That's going to open up a portal or a gateway.
Yeah.
So that's what he told me to do. And so that's what happened. And he's right, because this indigenous information didn't exist before 2009. They wasn't on it before 2009. Once we did the video showing and proving about the indigenous people teeth and the indigenous people DNA and so forth and so on, that shit became popularized, and now the information is going crazy. You got individuals like Research Guy, Dane Calloway, and so forth and so on, you know, and Camille and different other ones who is using the information now, and they teaching the information. But we also knew that the information went deeper than just history. So this is why I also study law. I'm in my second year of law school right now. All right. So this is why we study law. Law and history goes together. So what they've done is separate law and history from each other. So in 2009, me and Brother Panic came together for that. And then after that, he ended up moving down to Atlanta, Georgia. Once he moved down to Atlanta, Georgia, well, actually, it wasn't Atlanta. It was the Stone Mountain, Georgia, as we would say, you know, suburb of Atlanta, just like Decatur is. And actually, Stone Mountain is right above Decatur. And he would, you know, he was with Khadijah, and he invite me and my wife down. And like I said, we would stay there. Shit, one time we stayed there for like almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
You know, Brother Panic and Khadijah. I taught him Qigong moves. I taught him Reiki. I initiated him to 3 degrees of Reiki, so forth and so on. You know, you know, all of them. Actually, it was Brother King Cook. It was Khadijah and Brother Panic. Initiated them all 3 to Reiki mastership, and showed them Qigong moves in which that would help the flow of energy into the body. You know, and then of course, Panic and Khadijah would invite us over and over again to different events down there and so forth and so on. So we kept up the, you know, partnership, even when we did the radio show, First World Order Radio. When we did First World Order Radio, Panic became...
Keep talking, guys. Somebody knocked at my door. Keep talking, though.
Okay. Yeah, Brother Panic became the co-host. Once Brother Panic became the co-host, you hear the music with me and Brother Panic. You know, we do our shows. We did dozens and dozens and dozens of shows over the few years that we was together doing the show. The platform that he chose was right after the fact of him and Miss Blue. He left Miss Blue platform and came to my platform, and we started doing that for a few years.
Okay.
And then, of course, us still talking, being friends and everything for years and years. Like I said, for over 20 years, we was, well, 20 years we was, well, he just passed in September of last year. So, you know, 23 years at that time period, you know, that I knew him. Well, excuse me, not 23 years, 19 years at that time I knew him. So over those 19 years, he became one of my best friends in the conscious movement. Azariah was also a good friend of mine, and A.A. Rashid was also a good friend of mine. Asira Dukateers was a good brother, who also he told me that I inspired him. You know, because of the videos that we did in 2004. So, you know, and our Cedar Duke of Tears, he would come to the lectures as well. You know, and you know, we would greet each other and so forth and so on. So, good brother. So, this is how we all met each other. We was in New York. You know, that was the abode of consciousness at one time. Then Atlanta was the abode of consciousness. So now you see all the people who was in New York down in Atlanta now.
I see that.
Yeah. You know, the twins are down there. Rich is down there. King Simon is down there. You know, the only one left in New York is Sarnetta.
Yep. Because a Sears in Florida, I believe.
Now. Right, a series in Florida, right, Miami, right. So, you know, and I'm down south. I'm in North Carolina. So everybody went south, you know? Yeah.
It's powerful. So,
and you said we led up to the video that we did with the...
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, that 10-hour video that led up to me and Brother Panic. Brother Panic called me. He wanted to know what the hell was going on because, you know, at the time, he didn't know, you know, so he was like, yo, only person I know who probably would know at this time period of what the hell is actually going on. He said, I'm going to call my man Alim. So he ended up calling me and I told him, yeah, God, yeah, I know what's going on. Yeah, of course, we can do the video, you know. And so we did the video, God, and, you know, me and my wife, Panic, you know, we got on there and did a 10-hour long video. I wasn't expecting for it to be 10 hours, but Panic can go. You know what I'm saying? Because after I did my 3 hours of talking, I thought that was going to be it. Panic had another 7 hours. You know what I'm saying? In him, you know. So, you know, so that's how that happened, God. Was because Brother Panic called me, and he was like, "Yo, Alim," he said, "Yo, I'm a little afraid of what the fuck is going on." I say, ain't no need to be afraid, God. I'll tell you everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? I say, yeah, it's a vibratory disease. You know what I'm saying? Boom, is with the 5G. The 5G have the same exact symptoms as what they call this damn coronavirus or, you know, COVID shit. You know, so, you know, so I told him that and started breaking it down and, yo, man, hell yeah, we got to do this video right now. So we got on and started going to town, God. That's what happened.
Yeah, that was powerful, especially the connection with Beetlejuice. Now I know that they bring it back out Beetlejuice too. Why do you think they're doing that? Is there something connected, or are they just doing what they do with the rest of these movies, just sabotage the legend of the old movie or something? Or is this something connected esoterically, you believe?
No, I think what it is that they seen the video and we broke down the information so well about, you know, going into supernova mode and that the light of Beetlejuice would hit us. And once it hit us, being that we are from Sirius and Orion constellation, Sirius and Orion is right there together, you know, called the dog star and the man in heaven. The word Orion means heaven. So the man in heaven with his dog, you know what I'm saying? So that correlates, they're both right there. So once that energy hits us from Beetlejuice or Beetlegeist or Beetlegeese, however we want to pronounce it, it hit us. And once it hit us, it causes changes within the DNA. It upgrades us. And so that's why they wanted the planet in a state of fear during that time period. And the same thing is now getting ready to happen next year. They're getting ready to release some type of respiratory ailment in which that is now coming by way of these artificial mosquitoes, in which that Bill Gates released in Texas, in Ohio, in Indiana, in Florida. All right, these artificial mosquitoes are now interbreeding, or GMO mosquitoes. GMO means genetically modified organisms, are now breeding with the regular mosquitoes and producing more GMO type of baby mosquitoes. And these babies will carry Zika, some type of upper respiratory ailment, in which that is as Bill Gates and his wife said on a video, that you might not believe the first one, but you definitely going to believe the next one. And that's supposed to take place by 2025. This is why they released that fake ass report of the Project 2025, making Negroes scared, when the whole thing is going to be right. Now, come on, everybody know that was CIA. There's no way possible they're just going to release all that information and say, this is what we're going to do to you niggas. You see what I'm saying? No, that's not it. The real shit is the fact that they're going to have these mosquitoes to start biting on our asses and develop Zika, swine flu, bird flu, some type of upper respiratory ailment, in which that is going to be hard to fight off. This is what their plan is. So what you want to do, you want to eat burrow bananas. Mosquitoes don't like the smell of bananas.
Burrow bananas.
Burrow bananas. The more burrow bananas that you eat, the less you have to worry about being bitten.
Y'all hear that?
Okay.
And it's spelled just like you spell barrow, like B-U-R-R-O-W.
B-U-R-O-O. No W. Burrow.
B-O-O-O-O.
B-U-R-R-O. Burrow bananas.
Put that in the chat. Put that in the chat, guys. And I also noticed connection to Orion. You know, they came out with this monkeypox thing this year. And I was looking up constellations, and they said one of the nicknames of Orion is Monkey Head. You ever heard that before?
Yeah, anything in which that is dealing with Orion God, they are trying to bastardize. They're trying to, because they know that is the star, one of the star constellations in which that give us our powers. Sirius and Orion. The ancestors come from that section. The ancestors are made in the Orion Nebula. This is where they come down from when they come into human form. They are trying to destabilize the ionosphere, which is the upper firmament, in order to stop the ancestors from coming down, the most advanced ancestors, that is. This is why they have the CERN, so they can bring in the most demonic beings or entities in which that can help their existence, while at the same time ostracize and annihilate our existence.
Right. I get that, because every year they bringing out something else, in this election year. So many distractions, you know, between the Kamala, how you pronounce her name.
Right.
And Trump, and so much stuff. Like, let me ask you this question, because you came up in a very conscious era. Have you seen this many rituals year by year compared to when you was coming up?
No, they're getting desperate. They're getting desperate. So more and more rituals we're seeing. Only because they're desperate now. They know that we know who they are. You know, he was already told by Elijah Muhammad. He was already told by Minister Farrakhan, Malcolm X, many who have come, Dr. York. You know, we've already told who the devil was. You know, and that makes sense, because of the fact is that we see what they're doing. They're not acting humanly. And now we understand why they're not acting humanly, because they're draconian reptilians. You know, this is what they achieve. This is what they want to achieve. They want to achieve their RH negative blood type, to keep that pure, so that they can have access to these demonic entities from the first and second overtone level of the fourth dimension.
Wow. I talked about that once. There's a blood Kabbalah where they have the Kabbalistic tree, and they have the different blood types, and where Doth would be, they have that RH negative.
Right.
Like, literally, you can look it up in documentations. But let's talk about that.
RH negative is not a pure blood type. That is a mutation.
Say it again, so we can hear.
That's a mutation. That is not a pure blood type. That's a mutation.
Right.
And that mutation gives them access to having these intercourse with these spirits, these lower dimensional entities of the astral plane. All right, this is why they think that they special, but they're not special because these lower entities ain't shit.
Hell nah.
All right, these are lower entities from the first and overtone level or layer of the astral plane. If you get the book Astral Body, written by Colonel, what is his name? I can't remember his name right now, but he's a colonel. Like in the book, he breaks down the various levels of the astral plane. So does Astral Body. That's the name of the book. And then also Astral Plane.
I know what you talk about.
Yeah. Which is written by C.W. Ledbetter. He wrote a book on the astral plane. Yeah. So these two books in particular helps you to understand the astral plane of existence. And they all say that based on the lower dimensional frequency, that these are lower dimensional entities and they attach themselves to a person's auric field. And the only ones that they can attach themselves to is a RH negative, what is called 0 or O blood type, negative blood type. Because these entities do not have, because these people do not have any protection from these, and most of the Europeans have this blood type. So this is why they was called the devil, because they allowed themselves to get get attached to these entities, these lower vibrational entities. This is why they called the devil. However, A blood type positive, B blood type positive, O positive blood type, AB positive blood type, they have protection from possession from these entities. That's what these particular sugars and various enzymes give them the ability not to be attached or attacked psychically. It gives them these powers to keep and stave off these particular entities.
Let me ask you a question. We have a lot of European listeners on the platform right now. Say that they're conscious and they're looking into similar information. What would you say to those folks, and what would you say to the counter side of their community or what they have going on? What is the difference between those two, and how can they be a assistance going into this next paradigm of consciousness?
Europeans can have A positive blood, O positive blood, B positive blood, or AB positive blood. So they can have the positive blood types. Positive blood is dominant on this planet. That's how we know that O negative blood, which has the RH factor, is recessive.
Right.
Because anybody who is positive blood can annihilate that blood type. This is why they are particular about mixing with certain people.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Because
Press Wilson.
Right. They say that this is the bloodline, but it's not the bloodline. It's not the bloodline of the gods. It's not the bloodline of Israel. That's the bloodline of the devil. And all whites do not have that bloodline because they have mixed in with us.
The Moors. So when Bobby said more gray areas, when the Moors were in Europe, can you give a little lesson on how that happened and how there was a differential of bloodlines after the Moors were in power?
Yeah, the Moors were still in power even after 1492. I have proof of that, which I did on a video just recently when I showed the various kings and queens of Spain, of England, and of Italy, and of France. There was still so-called black people ruling those thrones all the way up until the late 1800s.
Right.
And then they did what is called a reset. And we said everybody knows now about the mud flood, and they started erasing or decolorizing the various pictures of the real people of Europe and started installing their fake pictures. All right, they started installing their fake pictures of the Europeans who they claim ruled the throne. Actually,
same thing they did with the hieroglyphs too. It's like everything is being replaced.
Right, exactly. So we know that's what they do. They try to upsert your royalty, whether it's in Egypt, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Americas. This is what they do. And I'm talking about specifically those who have RH negative blood type. If you're not RH negative blood type, don't get offended.
Can those people that have those blood types save themselves?
No. No.
I'm sorry.
I explained to you guys. All right, I explain a little bit further for everybody can have an overstanding of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
So you gonna make me?
No, let me explain. All right. According to Dr. Edward Robinson, he broke down the fact that when they did testing on the orangutan, which is a hominid, it had 3 DNA series. Because the orangutan was part of the great apes. They was humanized monkeys. All right? Humanized monkeys. In other words, who mixed their DNA with the monkey and made what we now call the great ape species. The reason for that is because we had a planet that exploded in our solar system called Modic, and Malona, the moon, its moon. And the life from that had to go somewhere. And we was not going to allow for them to inhibit us or to possess us. So we made them bodies. So we created the great species so that they can dwell in for a certain time period. And it was like an evolutionary stage. First, we had the orangutan, which had 3 DNA series. We had the gorilla, which is a hominid, and it had 4 DNA series. We had the chimpanzee, or bonobo, which is a hominid, which had 5 DNA series. Then we had mankind, which is part of the great ape species, a man-animal hybrid. All right? And possesses phenomelanin, not eumelanin, but does not possess either gland, does not possess the epiphany gland or the barytheric gland. And the worst of that blood type, or the worst of those people, is the RH negative 0, or what is called O negative blood, because they have what is known as an extravertebrate in their tail. So from the coccus, they actually have a tail in which that sometimes is clipped or snipped off. So 3 out of 5 Europeans have tails, all right, because of this RH 0 negative or O negative blood type. So human don't have a tail. He does possess eumelanin, but he does not possess either the glands. He does not possess the barytheric gland or the epiphany gland. Then you have semi-gods or demigods, as I call them. These are the gods. These are the Anunnakians or what is known as the Nomos or the Onins. They possess one or either of the barytheric gland or the epiphany gland, but they don't possess both, and they have 8 DNA series. Now, when it comes to the gods on planet Earth, these are the goddesses and gods. They are the angels. They are the or what is known as the Elohim. They are the Syrians, and they possess both the epiphany gland and the barytheric gland, and they have 9 DNA series. Now, the highest of them is the opposite of RHO negative blood, and the opposite is AB positive blood, and that is the 144,000. Those who have the AB positive blood, in other words, we're looking at the giver and we're looking at the receiver, RH0 or O negative blood is giver blood. You can give that blood, but why would you want it? When we talk about having extra vertebrates in a tail, that is animal blood.
All right.
God bloodline, which tell you nowadays, look up the Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin, it tells you in there that Jesus' blood type was AB positive blood.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the bloodline of the angels or the gods and goddesses in flesh, which happens to be the opposite to RH factor O negative blood. It's AB positive blood. AB positive blood can annihilate any of the blood types. It's the most dominant blood type.
See some people saying they're RH negative, they never had a tail, but didn't you say it's like 3 out of 5 or something like that?
Right. So that means not everybody has it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, then that's perfect. I'm glad you don't. I am actually happy that you did.
So when it comes to the Gnostic text, which I teach a lot on the channel, they spoke about these counterfeit spirits. Right. Is that relative to that planet that you said explode?
Yes.
And what became conducive? Okay.
Yes, exactly. Hold on, I need to plug up my computer. There we go.
Okay. Right. We're going to get out of here soon, too. We're going to be here too long.
All right. Ask me that question again, Tony.
Oh, well, you confirmed it. I was just asking where the counterfeit spirits connected to those people that came from that life, the life from that planet as well.
Right.
Because the souls had to be the ones directly from Sirius or these binary stars here.
Right. Exactly.
Makes sense. So someone asks, in Solomon's temple, what is your analysis of what the Shamir is? You ever heard of the Shamir worm or whatever they call it?
Yeah. The word Shamir would correlate to chosen. Will also correlate to Solomon's temple, which means soul and mind. Correlates to the word Solomon itself, Sol, soul, Amun, which would be, of course, the hidden substance, which could be identified as melanin, which is the major component in the body, in which that correlates to the aspects of the mind through the third eye to be able to see into the various dimensions of the afterworld. So it all depends on the breakdown of that information.
Yeah, someone said that Shamir literally does transliterate to substance. So you hit on there.
Substance or chosen, which would mean Shimshahar, where it actually comes from out of back to ancient Kemetic, besides for just Hebrew.
That's my question right there. So when we talk about biblically to the lineages of Jacob, Esau, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I don't know if I mixed those up, but
no, that's it. Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Well, I think
sons of Noah.
Noah, yeah. What is the dichotomy? Because I see in a lot of right rooms with different like white supremacists, there is a big separation between the Jewish white sect of believers in the New Israel that was established by the Balfour whole thing from the elite families. Are white Jews actually, are they white? Is that real? And what, if not, what is the whole thing with that? And can you break that down of where? Because they say that everything is occurring because of them. That's the Zionists and stuff like that. Can you break that down for the church?
Well, that actually is true about the Zionists. That is true. That's because what we now refer to as Israel is an actual spy network for the United States on the Middle East. That's what it is. So Zionists, coming from the word Zion, which was Mount Zion, which means a peak or high, Zion. The so-called Jews, which to me is mentioned in Revelation 2nd chapter, the 9th verse, Revelations the 3rd chapter, the 9th verse. For those who say that they are Jews but are not, but are actually the synagogue of Satan. These are the Zionists particularly. Also what we see, not just the Zionists, but we also see what we now refer to as the Jewish people are actually converts from out of Syria, which is Russia. 90 some odd percent of them are converts. They do not have the blood of Shem. They do not have the blood of Israel, do not have the blood of Jacob, do not have the blood of Isaac, do not have the blood of Abraham.
Wow.
Because it was from out of Russia. This is where you get the term Ashkenazim. They are the Ashkenazim. Japheth's son was called Ashkenaz. You can look that up. One of Japheth's sons was called Ashkenaz.
Really?
Yes. So how can they be Shem when they are descended? They themselves say that they are descended as the Khazarians. They are descended as the Ashkenazims from Ashkenaz, who was the son of Japheth. Thus, they could not be descended from Abraham. So we're looking at almost 95% of them are actually not from Abraham. They are converts.
So Japheth, does that just mean someone outside of the family, or what is that actually is depicting?
Means Gentiles according to the Bible.
Okay.
Japheth was the Gentile. They went into the land of the Isles of the Gentiles.
Okay.
So they are the Gentiles. When they speak of Gentiles, they themselves are the Gentiles. They are fooling the world, trying to tell everybody that they are Hebrew or that they're Israelites, which they know they don't even use that terminology. Notice that Jews don't use the term Israel for themselves per se, and they don't use the term Hebrew. Why is that? Because the word Jew is taken from Judah, who Kemetically is Tahudi. Jehudi or Yahudi is Tahudi. One and the same.
We have some confusion. Someone asked, you said earlier, they said RH negative blood is supposed to mean you do not have the monkey gene.
You do not have any of the sugars in that blood type. Right.
Oh, okay. So it's the positive you were meaning. And when you said
the positive, AB has both A positive sugar and B positive sugar. And so these sugars can annihilate, they are most dominant, and they can annihilate any of the other blood types, whether it's positive or negative. AB positive blood type is the most dominant blood type.
And what about AB negative? What makes of them?
AB negative, once again, itself does not have components, as we would say, because it's negative. All negative blood types means that they don't have the various sugars in which that is necessary for domination. It's recessive.
Wow. I think I'm B plus.
B positive. There we go. That means you have the capability of actually visualizing and healing yourself. If you ever have a medical situation, you can actually think yourself to health.
Wow. I believe that too.
Yeah.
Someone asks, is the Saturn-Moon Matrix breaking down in this age of Aquarius, or is that just something New Age talk?
No, that's real. David Icke spoke about the Moon Saturn Matrix, and we now know that according to an individual, Bertram, he worked for NASA, yep. And Bertram said that he's seen crafts around Saturn, and it was actually making what we now refer to as the circle around Saturn. That is part of the matrix, because the first energy, when it hits into our solar system from Sirius, it hits Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that correlates to hitting of our moon, in which that causes the three-dimensional paradigm that we're in right now, or that we appear to be in. All right. So yes, the Saturn-Moon Matrix. Now we know that there's beings on the moon. We know there's beings in Saturn, because Bertram said specifically that he's seen 7-foot tall black people on these crafts. And this is according to his book, Saturn the Ringmaker. So around this ring, yeah, he spoke about this. And then there's many books about the moon and about how this technology on the moon, in which that I break down in my book, Planetary Genesis, Stargate DNA, and Human Extraterrestrial Origin. In the book, I break down specifically from various books. What Happened on the Way to the Moon was a book, The Moon Hoax, different other ones. But even in these books, it speaks about how there's extraterrestrial technology and information that's on the moon. You know, various antennas. In other words, these antennas are being used to gauge the energy from Saturn and beam onto the Earth.
There was a movie that came out. Did you see that movie Moonfall with Halle Berry? It was all about
exactly. That's exactly what is happening with our moon. That is the perfect example. That was not a comedy, you know, even though they had a little comedy within the movie, that was real.
Oh no, you're talking about Don't Look Up. That was the comedy.
I'm talking about even with the guy who was with them in Moonfall, he played the comic relief.
Oh, the comedic relief guy.
Yeah, he played the comic relief. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But everything in that movie was more accurate than anything else that I've ever seen. Moonfall was perfect.
They said like the moon was a ancient megalithic object that used to help create suns, and it had this black substance that looked like melanin. They said it was like an AI that instructed the megalithic object to move in circles to create the sun. That was a crazy movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
But they had beings. They did have beings living in there.
Right.
Someone asks, the Basque in Spain have the highest concentration of
RH. Right.
They said, what does that have to do with the Moors that ruled there then?
Means that they didn't finish their job as far as impregnating the rest of that population.
Got it.
Because that was the whole purpose of impregnating the Europeans in Spain, was to impregnate them and produce positive, agreeable children.
So, all right, we're gonna get down to the last question. Say, does old blood type have more dark energy in any malevolent connection?
No. The highest is AB blood, positive blood type. which has more
What's that?
benevolent AB positive blood type.
Okay.
Well, that's the blood type of right. That's the blood type of the 144,000.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I don't see much questions. Well, that's very powerful. So can you let everyone else know about the event that you're hosting that just came in here, that's coming up on the 20th through the 22nd? Please let them know, and where can they go to get that information?
Yeah, AIWCF.com. Go there, AIWCF.com. Go there, and you will be able to purchase your tickets from there. It's $10. We're talking about for 3-day event. Come on down. We need to see you. You need to be in a place to be. Brother Annie is going to be speaking. Brother Crumb Snatcher, known as Master Student, speaking. I'm going to be speaking, and many others is going to be speaking. So you definitely need to come check us out. Like I said, we're going to have fire bombs. We're going to have all types of magical things that take place. We're talking about smoke lodge, or what is known as healing lodges. Just everything. We're gonna do everything, so come on down, check us out.
Every time I've come down there, I've had a wonderful time, family. This is one of the best experiences that you can have, and I'm very much humbled that I'm able to come back down and speak again. I remember last time, I think it was 2020 or something like that, when I came down last time. So it's going to be a great event. You guys come down to Henderson, North Carolina, and please go to Dr. Alim El Bey's website. Is dralimebey.com, correct?
dralimlbey.com.
Yes. dralimlbey.com. I'm sorry, I missed the L. And you do have like medicinal products there that can help people with their health.
We have over 250. Yes, we have over 250 herbs that helps for everything in which that you might have a situation.
That chlorella really helped. I ordered that chlorella. Yeah, that was real powerful. Well, I very much appreciate you for coming on. One of the legendary master teachers. Very much a big day for me to have this interview with you, God. Just want to let you know that. Very much appreciate you. Want to have you back so we can dig into some more information down the line. I know we got a lot of business to cover in the next couple of months, but I appreciate you, and that'll be.
No, I just said I appreciate you having me on, God. Thank you.
No, it's no problem. It's very warranted that we do these and get together and have these sessions. All right, family, we're out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And the next time I'll probably do a video will be after the event. So peace.
We out.
Ashe to the ancestors. See y'all next time.
Ashe, ashe.
Ashe.